right, so it is time to start learning about our selection tools and particularly the quick selection and our rectangular marquee tool. To get started, we're going to do things just a little bit differently today, and we are going to download uh, our first file. Now, I made it in step one pretty easy for you. We're just going to go ahead and click where it says download the file of your flower by clicking here. We'll just go ahead, click here. And then we're just going to go ahead and click our download in the top right. And then it should have downloaded it right down here to the bottom of your Chrome. If it didn't, you can find it in your Finder under your downloads folder as well. Now, once we have that located, we'll go ahead and drag and drop that onto our desktop. Once we have it in our desktop, it is time to open it up in Illustrator. So we're just going to hold Control on our keyboard and click and go open with Adobe Photoshop. Now, once it gets open up in here, it is time to get our selection tool out. You can find your selection tool over in your tools bar. It should be the fourth tool down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it should look like the paintbrush tool, but with some dotted lines kind of going out and around it. Now, if you don't see that, you can just click and hold that tool. It might be the object selection tool or your magic wand tool. That's okay. You can just go ahead, click and hold, and then select your quick selection tool. You can also get there just by pressing W on your keyboard, and that will automatically grab you your direct selection tool. Now, this tool is probably the best tool you could possibly use in Photoshop, and it's important that we have a good idea of how this works. So we're going to start off with this flower. Now, you want to be sure that before you start that you have this plus brush selected. So it's this one in the middle. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag, and we're just going to go around the inside edge of this flower here. Now, notice how it's putting these dotted lines around what I have selected. And you're just going to keep going around that outside edge. Now, you want to be sure that you have a decent sized brush. Right now, mine's set at 17. It can be a little bit bigger. If yours is too small, it might just take you a long time to select that flower. If it's too big, it might end up selecting more than your flower. For example, the bud on the outside here. Now, if you end up selecting too much of your flower, now let's say you accidentally selected this flower bud at the top here and you don't want that, you just need to hold Option on your keyboard and then just go over that section. Notice how instead of selecting it, it is deselecting it. So I'm just going to go around and just be sure that I have those dotted lines, or another way that we call those are marching ants. You just want to make sure that that dotted line is going around the outside of your flower, and that you also don't have any more dotted lines on the inside of it. So it should just be on the outside edge of that flower. Now, once we have our flower selected, we're going to go up to the top here and we're going to click Filter. And from Filter, we're going to go down to where it says Stylize. And from there, we're going to go over and select Oil Paint. Now you'll notice a couple things. The first thing being we have this oil paint window that's floating on our screen here. And we'll also notice that everywhere that we selected on the inside of that is now has this effect of oil paint. Now, if you want, feel free to spend some time playing around with the stylization and just seeing how that effect changes just that one part of the image. So by using that selection tool, we are able to only alter and change that one little bit. And once you get that set, you can go ahead and hit OK. Now, this is also really great too. We're going to use selection tools for all sorts of reasons, but feel free to play around today in your adjustments as well. You can add a brightness adjustment. Now, notice how that's only affecting that one part of the image. So even though we have options to change our image, we can also just do that to one section, so we don't have to end up changing and altering our image, the whole image, but just that one part. And notice how it made a layer mask. We're going to talk more about what this is in a little bit. Don't worry about it now, but this is where things start to get really exciting. So now we just need to go ahead and save. So we're just going to go up to where it says file, and we're just going to go down to save a copy. Save on your computer. And then you just need to add your last name, comma, first initial, and then an underscore to the beginning of this. Be sure you're saving it to your desktop and as a JPEG, and that's what you're going to use to submit for one of 3 of your files for today. And then once this comes up, we'll just hit OK, and we're ready to move on to the next one.